Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build guide for the Spellfire Sorcerer in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a mod that's made by Ahdarugo, and you may know this as one of the new subclasses in D&D, part of the Heroes of Faerun expansion. Now, what this does is it brings in some pretty fun fire radiant damage abilities. As well, you can also absorb spells and get yourself some sorcery points back, but at level 1 we get our innate sorcery. This, for 10 turns, unleashes your inner magic to increase your spell save DC by 1 and gives you advantage on attack rolls of the spells that you cast. This is really good for things like Scorching Ray, and we'll be going over the full build all the way up to level 20, but if you want to do a level 12 version instead. Now, I would recommend for cantrips, the best one if you're the face of the party is Friends. I also like to have Mage Hand here. You can have it throw healing potions or water bottles to keep your team safe or deal more damage. I also like to have Bone Chill for targets that receive healing. Firebolt is classic and it fits thematically here. You can explode things with it, so that's really good. And then the other choice, if you're not face of the party, is either the Shocking Grass Cantrip or Ray of Frost. I'm just going to go with Friends there. I'd recommend having Shield here. And Mage Armor is nice, however, it's better to have a damage option at the early game. So I'd recommend using Robes, obviously, but looking out for any scrolls of Mage Armor in the early game. Just because the Sorcerer does not have many spells, then you want to have a damage one. We can roll with a stat spread of 16 Charisma, 16 Constitution, 14 Dexterity. You can put this up to 17 if you want to use the Hag's Hair. Or alternatively, a higher dexterity for more initiative, and I prefer to go with the higher dex on my player, just because the initiative is nice. Now, metamagics, we get extended spell, so double this duration of conditions, summons, and services caused by spells. This costs 1 sorcery point. This is a little bit crazier than it describes, because what happens is when we use extended spell, we can actually double up the procs of our gear, and we can also, if we were to get command, do a command for 2 turns, which is kind of broken, strong. Distance spell is the other one I'd recommend at the early game to increase the spell's range. And then here we can either take Thunderwave or the Mage Armor spell. I prefer to buy some scrolls for that. And you can even multi-class it if you want to use different armors. And there's some armors that give proficiency. At our next level here, we do get some spells from our, just probably picking this subclass. As mentioned, Scorching Ray, you get the advantage on the attack rolls here, which is great. We also have Guiding Bolt, Lesser Restoration, and Cure Wounds. This class is actually kind of about healing as well. We also get our Spellfire Burst here. Once per turn, when you spend at least 1 sorcery point, you can unleash one of the following spells of your choice. It doesn't list them right here, but you get a temporary health points equal to 1d6 plus Charisma modifier with the Bolstering Flames, or Radiant Fire, which attacks someone in 30 feet or diameters and does a 1d6 of fire or radiant damage. And for the spell, I'd recommend a level 3 Hold Person. Free crits off on our Scorching Ray is always a good thing. And we're going to take Quicken Spell so that we can do exactly what I just mentioned with the crits off of Scorching Ray when you use Hold Person. Level 4 gives us another cantrip here. Ray of Frost, if you didn't take it already. And Minor Illusion is good too, because you can group enemies together, drop a fireball. And then once we get to level 4, I like to have Misty Step for a bit of survivability. Although Mirror Image to increase your armor class by 9 is nice too. Knock is one of the most useful spells in Act 2, but you can find that on scrolls. Some of these are better left as a scroll. Now, once we get to level 4, we get to choose a feat. I like the Alert feat for the +5 to initiative. This is really good because we want to go first in combat. And ability score improvement works great as well. You can even use the Elemental Adept Fire if you wanted to, or the Spell Sniper here, giving us increased critical hit chance with our Scorching Ray. And also, you can take Eldritch Blast. I also like Warcaster for holding concentrations, but we're going to go with the Alert because we do fit 2 roles. We have a bit of healing and also damage. So if we can go first, that's ideal. At level 5, we also get a Fireball spell here, which is nice, and the Warden of Vitality, which lets you cast Restore Vitality there. Now, I'd recommend we do get a special counterspell once we level up to level 6, so as tempting as it is to have, we're going to wait. We'll then take Lightning Bolt here instead, because Lightning Bolt is just really useful for hitting targets that Fireball might not be able to hit, and here is when we get our special counterspell. And even better is we get Absorb Spell, so whenever a target fails a saving throw against a counterspell that you cast, you regain 1 to 4 sorcery points. Pretty good stuff there. And then we also get to take another spell, which I guess Haste is a good choice. We can twin that to someone else when we take Twin Spell a bit later on at level 10. Level 7 gives us Wall of Fire and the Fire Shield spell. Those are great. Wall of Fire is actually a decent crowd control option. I would also recommend grabbing Ice Storm, because we can use Extended Spell and make it a 4-turn ice surface. It's a little bit kind of the antithesis to our fire build, but yeah, it's still good because surfaces in Baldur's Gate 3 are so strong. Greater Invisibility, one of the spells I just love to have. Confusion, another decent one for a large area of effect crowd control, so you could take either of these choices, or you can go back into earlier levels. I do like the Mirror Image. We do get some of the spells we already need, so we could go with Greater Invisibility just to give ourselves some more utility outside of combat and even in combat. gives us advantage on attack rolls. Now, you can actually keep rolling up your stealth checks and stay stealth while you blast away with Scorching Ray. It's kind of cool, but our ability score improvement here, I recommend growing for a charisma increase to get better spell casting. But there's also a fun choice with going with the dual wielder to use 2 staves. I really enjoy that setup as well. We also get the Flame Strike here, so we can spec around radiant damage a little bit here. We also get Cone of Cold and Hold Monster. I'm actually going to take Hold Monster first here, as that's good against a lot of fights in Act 3. I really like the counterspell, though, or the Chilling Cone of Cold. Now, for our last spell, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. Minor Illusion's a good choice. We'll also then take Cone of Cold here. Dominate Person is an okay choice as well if you like that kind of play. And Twin Spell. We can Twin Haste to ourselves and someone else. And something crazy is Twin Spell actually works if you take the Marika Heshker Staff and take the Bolts of Doom. That Chain Lightning, for some reason, will Twin Cast. It's kind of crazy. Level 11. This Chain Lightning doesn't Twin Cast, but it's only the Marika Heshker Staff that does. Just a heads up on that. But Chain Lightning, really fun. I'd actually, Sunbeam kind of fits as well thematically, but we don't need that because we got a lot of other spells that'll be good. Level 12, we can take Lobe of Invulnerability. Extended spell makes it 6 turns. It's pretty nice. We'll then also increase our charisma all the way up to 20 here. Or actually, dual wielder maybe at level 12 is a little bit better because we'll likely have 2 staves that we want to use at the same time. You can use a shield. And upon hitting level 13, we can continue to keep taking spells. Like at this point, we can take Sunbeam. Nothing super necessary until we get to our level 14 here with the next subclass feature, the Honed Spellfire. Your Spellfire burst improves. You can add your sorcerer level to the temporary health points gained from bolstering flames, and the damage of your radiant fire goes to a 1d10. Once per turn, when you spend at least 1 sorcery point, you can unleash one of those spells. So yeah, that's a big core principle of this build, is being able to cast those spells, and they got a little bit stronger here at level 14. If you really wanted to do a multi-class, I would actually recommend the Paladin. We'll take Eyebite there. Because the Paladin, when you do 6 levels of Paladin, you got your Aura of Protection to protect your team by your Charisma modifier, and on top of that, you get all the Spellfire, all the stuff from this build here, so they do combine together very well. At this point, we'll then max out our Charisma here. I also like to take the Tough feat if you go to level 20, because that gives you more health. Level 17 actually gives us our next and final metamagic here, before we get to our last subclass feature. I guess Disintegrate or Circle of Death. It's an okay spell. Better if we have the Staff of Cherished Necromancy. We'll then go with a metamagic here. I guess Careful Spell is the only really choice that really matters too much. Subtle Spell, I guess we'll go with that. Sometimes silence doesn't really happen too often, but it's nice to have a counter for it. And here's our subclass, Capstone. So, Crown of Spellfire. You get to cast your inner sorcery, and then for 10 turns you gain Burning Life Force, Fly, and Spell Avoidance while this is active. And you can also do this again using 5 sorcery points. And the Burning Life Force, basically, it's going to reduce the damage by a 1d6 plus your Charisma modifier. Pretty crazy. Fly, let you fly, and Spell Avoidance. When you're subject to a spell or magical effect that allows you to do a saving throw, you gain immunity to all elemental damage types for 1 turn. On a failed save, you gain resistance to all elemental damage type, and advantage on Dex, Wisdom, Intelligence, and Charisma saving throws for 1 turn. Yeah, it's kind of strong, but it's level 20 or level 18. It's kind of the way it goes with these. And again, this is adapted from the actual rule set. Now, Tough is usually the one I'd recommend at final, level 19. A lot more health, 40 extra health points. We love that. It's a resource. Use it like your spell slots. Take some hits. It's all good. Last level, we get our 4 sorcery points if we do a short rest. Yippee! As for gear, now, there's a couple helmets that I'd highly recommend. The Pyro Quickness hat is a good one if you want to go all in on your defense. The Hat of Fire Acuity is better in most purposes, because with a Scorching Ray, you get a +10 to your spell save DC, and none of your spells miss. I like the Pyro Quickness hat, so I want to use it because I think it fits thematically here. And it's just a little heads up, whenever you do this, make sure you use your bonus action first. Like if you're going to do Quicken Spell on that turn, use your Pyro Quickness hat first. That's just the way that it works here, but Fire Acuity hat ends up being better. This will burn ourselves, but that's okay because the Heldesk Armor actually makes this very, very good. So basically what we want to do is use Wall of Fire, and we can actually stand on it while we're using this armor, and then we're going to be proccing a ton of gear off of it. I also have the Deathstalker Mantle. You can use the Cloak Protection alternatively. Crater Flesh Gloves. These are crazy. Whenever you score a critical hit, it gives you an additional 1d6. It's actually a 2d6 because it's a crit and adds a bunch of damage riders. If you're in honor mode, it's not going to be as strong. This is a late game item, but I just want to mention it because it's actually kind of crazy on this build and you wouldn't think it. But since this build does radiant damage, Luminous Gloves are a good pick. Again, these are mod builds, so I don't go too in depth on the gear choices. Boots of Stormy Clamor here, since we do a condition, we're going to get another condition for free. I also like the Coruscation Ring to also give us radiating orbs on our spells while we're illuminated, so just cast light on yourself or have someone with a light source. Even certain weapons will have a light source on them. And then also we got the Callous Glow Ring to give 2 radiant damage points, which is going to proc our gear again. Now, I also have the Hellrider Longbow for the +3 to initiative, making sure that we do go first. And you got a staff here. So one of the nice things about this is you can actually use the Staff of Spell Power and then give yourself something like Warden of Vitality or any of these other spells if you need them in a pinch. This is great because then we can go ahead here and unequip it and put on something a little bit better. My recommendations would be to first have Mark Ashker in your main hand here because this has some pretty powerful abilities I'll get to in just a second. Now, Morning Frost, I love, is a great offhand weapon. It doesn't fit this build because this is fire and radiant damage focused. So honestly, you could even, a funny situation is the Staff of Cherished Necromancy, since we have Circle of Death. This isn't a great spell, but it'll give enemies disadvantage on the saving throw. And then it's funny because it actually procs all of our gear an insane amount, and it's a huge area of effect. Like, I actually get roasted a lot on Reddit for saying the spell is not as bad as some people think it is, because, yeah, the radius on this is massive for applying debuffs, and you can infinitely cast it. I'm not going to say it's a good spell, but I just want to mention it. It's only usable with the Staff of Cherished Necromancy. Since we got this here, we could do it this way, though. But I also just like to go back to the old classics and use the Staff of Spell Power or the Spell Sparkler, because this gives us lightning charges. Kind of crazy thing, and then you can put this one in the main hand, if you wanted to, but the thing is, Kreska's Favor actually applies at all times, so we can go with the Bolts of Doom here. And as mentioned, one of the reasons we want to do this is because we can go with the Twin Spell, and Twin Spell works on Chain Lightning. So yeah, if you have the Hat of Fire Cutie, 2 guaranteed Chain Lightnings are going to delete pretty much everything you see. Alright, so first turn of combat. We're going to use Quicken Spell first so that we can get our bonuses and actually proc our hat properly. And I like Wall of Fire because this is just a spell that's going to be basic crowd control for us. Large area of effect, we're able to hit 4 targets here. Yeah, this is great because it's then also applying Radiating Orbs, Reverberation, and then they're stuck in this fire. And the best part about the fire is we can actually go and step into it ourselves. The weird part is, though, Wall of Fire doesn't actually proc the hat for some reason, but we'll then go ahead. I have haste in my character, but you can see here we got a Radiant Fire, Radiant Bolstering Flames, do 1d6 plus 25 healing there, or the Radiant Flames, which we can then go ahead and attack a target. And this is a free action you can do per turn, so I would recommend going after the target that's going to give you the biggest pain in your butt, which is this one here for me, so I'm just going to blast away with that. Boom, it was enough to take them out. If it didn't, it would have been enough radiant damage to debuff them. Now, I took out a target, so we have the Deathstalker Mantle applied. I'm going to go with a Fireball here, because this is the spell that's going to let me hit multiple targets here, which is what we kind of need at this current moment. And yeah, what's great about this is then we're going to proc our bonus action here, so then we can do another Quicken Spell. It's kind of silly because we got some more fighters coming in. Oh, they're the back line here. Yeah, there's more enemies here, so yeah, we can go ahead with that. This is one of the times where Circle of Death's actually not a bad option because it's going to hit everybody in this radius. So I think I'll launch one of these. It's, again, not an amazing spell, but that's a huge amount of damage in a, yeah, a lot of people just drop there. Radiant, 8 Radiating Orbs, 2 Radiating Orbs. Now, the reason I say this is a really good, or not a really good spell, but a decent spell, is because if you had the Luminous Armor on, everyone there would have like 10 stacks of Radiating Orbs. So, yeah, for those people on Reddit that keep ripping into me for this spell, it's not as bad as some people want to make it out to be. Don't use it in its normal situations. I don't even have the Staff of Cherished Necromancy here, but it's a little bit better than I guess some people want to say. We then have one final action here to use, and we got a lot of competition to deal with, so we're going to bring out the big dogs. We're going to go with the Twin Chain Lightning. Now, what's funny about this is you get to do 2 attacks here, so we want to actually spread these out in an area of effect so that we can actually take out as many people as possible. Try to find the target that you're most likely to hit here. I'm actually going to walk into my fire here. We'll take that Immune to Burning there, held the concentration, and then try this over here. Because I want to hit this target. We're paths interrupted. All right, here we go. 90% hit chance, and then a 95% hit chance. We'll go for this one. So, boom. That was enough to take out them. 53, 50, 57. Yeah, that's crazy. There's 2 targets left. So that's what's up with the sorcerer. If we saved our little per turn, we could have probably chipped off another one there, but that was really good. And we have our very fun counterspell here to stop that and give ourselves some sorcery points back while we're at it. I love that subclass feature at level 6, and that's what makes the Spellfire Sorcerer such a fun one, especially with the new rule set. And we started our turn over here, so yeah, we can run through Immune to the Burning there. We'll just go, I guess, with a Flame Strike's actually a really powerful spell for this, but Scorch and Ray, it's tried and true classic here, so we'll just blast this target, and I can actually hit both of them from this position. Perfect. We got Immune to Burning, extra bonus action. There's one target just laying down there. They have Radiating Orbs. The great thing about Scorch and Ray is it stacks up our Radiating Orbs really quickly as well. So, yeah, you can do some pretty silly stuff with that. But I guess what we'll do is we'll use our innate sword. We didn't even end up using that. We have this build is so strong even without this, but that uses the innate sorcery charge you get per long rest so that you can power up your spells. And then the Crown of Spellfire here will activate this. This special ability then gives us the ability to fly around. We also then get the Burning Lake Force. Once per turn when hit an attack, reduce damage by 1d6 and Charisma modifier. We also have Spell Avoidance, so we're not getting hit with spells as much. And yeah, that's a lot of different abilities here. The fly is nice just to have a bit of extra flying. It always saves my game when I fly. I don't know why. I'll just hit him with a Firebolt there because... yeah, that was more than enough to take them out. Otherwise, we would have been using our other ability there. So, yeah, Spellfire Sorcerer. It's powerful, it's fun, and it's new. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Again, this mod here is made by Ahdarugo. I want to thank them again also for translating my Winter Spirit Bard mod into Korean. So thank you again for that and for making this mod here and also porting a lot of other mods. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and we'll catch y'all in the next one.